So, thank you, Paul, for that, and thank you, Sean, for the introduction, and Michael for an excellent presentation on the execution plan. So, really, the role now for us today is to present the progress we have done over the last couple of weeks. And since last month, when we introduced you to the team, the location of the project as well in Rollstown, and the way we're going to progress forward. So essentially, I think Paul is going to say a few words about the execution plan.
The BIM execution plan, and that was great. I compliment Michael on his presentation this morning again. I first cited this only about 2 weeks ago. In January, we really started looking at some Finnish standards, which are the co-BIM standards, which for me were the essence of clarity, and which is, as an engineer, that's what I like about all standards. But Michael has been a great help this morning, showing some light on it. But it is a big document, and it's going to take some time to go through it.
In addition, I think it's an absolutely essential document, especially if you think about collaborating, sharing the files across from one team to another team, especially in a cross-disciplinary context. So that's why we set up actually in this project, since we are doing the scheme design, and that's what we're going to present today, is that before we started modelling and look at the survey information, we actually started to look at the standards within that execution plan. So, as Michael has mentioned, like you have the AEC UK BIM standard. It talks about even the file naming. So here we can see at the bottom the name of the file itself, and I had to look actually at the document quite closely to see what is the conventions, and it's not too evident, but once you get a hang of it, very quickly you get the use of it. So we did the same thing here for the library objects naming, and that's part of the template file for the project. All the objects have been renamed with a code, and that's Uniclass 2, and you have an A in front of it to say this is the architect is the originator of the object. And then you have the layer naming. Now that's not applicable to all BIM platforms, but for instance, we have set up a whole system as well, a layer set where you can see the originator, architects, the Uniclass 2 coding system, and then the description here. And I think the pilot project is a great example to show how at the very beginning you can start to implement the standards. Also, there was a great mention of 1192, and this is just a representation of the diagrams within the documents that can appear quite confusing. Now, it may be improved perhaps in the next version, but I think it was 2 or 3 years ago where we had a presentation in London, and we decided look, we had to present this document in a legible format. So we redesigned actually all the diagrams, and we came up with this kind of a set of diagrams where you can very clearly see every single stage of the development of the project. So here you can see the working process from the architects, then it goes to the shared area. Every single bubble contains the information in relation to fit for purpose, fit for coordination, all the coding. It's slightly simplified, but that can be elaborated on. And you see when the file is being shared, and then the feedback is given then back to the architects, and that happens then a couple of times because of all the different parties involved. Then we go to the specification and tender stage. We go then to the contract stage, and at the end we finish with an as-built model, for the facilities management. And it's really portrayed into a sequential process that we start with the concept design and develop all the way along to all these kind of stages to the FM stage. And at the moment we're in very early stages, a scheme design stage, where it's specified within a document that look, we work in our own practice doing this, but this is actually quite relevant because we set the standards now, and we will be aiming to talk. We have been talking to all different professions as well to set, to see if they can read our own information. And so this is why, you may wonder why I present this, slightly obscure diagram, but I think it will all make sense at the end of the presentation when Paul will talk about collaboration. So we received information from Crossway. I'll just hand over quickly to Paul to explain.
With Crossway, as I said last month, all the team is contributing their time voluntary, so everyone's restricted by other work that they have going on in the office. So we're all trying to fit this project in as best we can. The benefit that we have, I suppose, is that this project is going to carry out over the year, so it's a longer period of time maybe than a project of this nature would happen. So it gives us a real opportunity to really have a look at technologies. This is a 3DS terrain model we just got from Coastway about a week and a half ago now. And one thing that's interesting, the format was a 3DS file that we were basically able to input. But if you look at it, it's a surface, and the building is the grey mass in the middle, and this is actually the import. We found one of the best ways to import it into ArchiCAD was to take it through SketchUp. So ArchiCAD can import a SketchUp file, and we were actually surprised how easily that was able to happen. So the surface mesh there, you can see the mesh basically takes the top of the trees and top of the building points, and a mesh will triangulate between all those points. But so if you have just a pure geometry surface, I think input of XYZ coordinates or input of a mesh like that is just beautiful. But you have to be, I suppose, this is where the human intelligence aspects comes into everything related to BIM, and that you have to look at, what is the information that's odd, the fact that surfaces don't triangulate, over buildings. So this is computer technologies that are applying to this. So.
Perfect, and that's one of the terrain models we have received. But we also received cloud data. So here, this is one, actually, you see the picture of the existing building up there, but at the bottom you can see, it looks like a black and white picture, but actually this is the cloud data available. It consists of millions of points that have a color value assigned to it. So it's quite handy to have that within your own.
I was actually amazed by the quality of the scanning data. You could really zoom up close. You could actually read some of the text on the notice board, which was
and also you can take dimensions and like per survey station, you can take exact dimensions, from the point of the floor up to the ceiling. It will give you a good value. Now, of course, there's a little problem sometimes when you just click on a point and you don't know where the point is at 10 meters away or close by. So it depends really what point is being picked up. But one of the issues we had, of course, we are architects. We use Macs, apples. Now, I didn't know if that represented orange and apple on the painting, but we are Mac heads, and we have to deal with computers or with software that is running on PC only. So we had to find a solution, and we had to work with parallels. Now, of course, we could work with Bootcamp as well to load up all the software. But it's a small little issue that needs to be resolved and needs to be thought about. So in the end, we could successfully use all these kind of tools, and especially like for different BIM platforms as well that may not be available on the Mac. Like through this, you can actually use it. And so we just started exploring the cloud data, and one of the very easy ways was actually to import it into SketchUp, believe it or not, because the software we use, ArchiCAD, has no kind of by default import. So this is just the survey station data for the point cloud, and once you go in there, you can see 3D points. But it's a big cloud. It's quite difficult to really know exactly what's happening. Then I think like a few days after, we received a complete model of the building. Now this is a simplified model. It was only like 300 megabytes. I think the original data file size for that building was, I think, 30 gigabytes. I had to drive over to Coastway, meet him in the offices, and download it on the computer. And even at that, the file was too big for me to be of any use. So it depends, like you have to be careful how you deal with this. It takes a lot of data. Paul will talk about like the impact it has on his broadband.
I think there's an interesting thing, like many times people deal with a point cloud or surveyor data, laser scan surveyor data. It's really that the surveyor could build a model. It was an interesting experience for us. It just so happened that Coastway were very busy, so we weren't able to get a model, and we're conscious that the time is clicking, so we're looking at different ways of being able to deal with it. And I think there's a lot, maybe with all BIM tools, there's a certain fluency that comes with use. So when you initially look at some of these tools, it's really hard to navigate around through the cloud, to find, basically really even to orientate yourself sometimes. So sometimes you might conclude that it's actually better to leave it to surveyors and get them to give you a fully finished, as built model. But there's no harm being able to understand that these are the kind of data issues that you're dealing with.
And also, like, of course, you had to look, like, the information we received was 2 weeks ago. And we were asked to do a scheme design, to do the existing building and scheme design within 2 weeks. And especially dealing with point cloud data that we never used before on a Mac. So the challenges were there certainly. And we learned a lot of lessons, and hopefully we can share them with you. This is like just a screenshot of Rhino. We just had a quick check. And unluckily enough, you didn't have the time to really play around with it. But it allows you to create shapes and forms that then can be imported in any kind of other platform. So we started actually trying to import it into our platform. And we found this kind of a little plugin that allowed us to do that. And we took the simplified point data model. It's only 300 megabytes, but like it still took quite a while to process. And this is just, I have to do this like a screenshot of the progress bar to see that, look, it took actually an hour and a half to import in a simplified form, and to import the whole thing took like I think 8.5 hours. So the computer was working overnight. And at some point in time we were there, like up in the clouds, like, look, what are we doing? Can we see anything here? Ghostway is fantastic. They have been dealing with this kind of a technology for years now, and we were just there, is anything going to happen? But then its success, after like an hour and a half, at least we had something there on plan. It's not highly usable, but like when you look at a 3D view, you can see an extremely simplified version of the point cloud. But then again, every single point represents something. So, it was of some use. But it's very difficult to draw, from that. So we had to go back to Ghostway. They give us then slices through the point cloud data model at different intervals. So we have a plan, we have sections as well. There we overlay the section, the ortho rectified images with the point cloud data. And based on that, then we could draw the building model. And based on all the standards, of course. So here you can see a very initial kind of approach where even the terrain model was not at correct height. We started building the model. So, it can happen in 2D or 3D. It's just very interactive with this. So this is the completed model. This is with the walls and roofs being transparent, so you see a bit of the internal structure. And once we apply textures on the model, it looks suddenly a bit more realistic. And it gives you a good platform actually to make decisions, really informed decisions on how you're going to tackle with this existing building. And of course, as any kind of BIM platform, you can slice and dice through the model as you want and just create a lot of information, like in the form of plans or sections and sections and elevations. So it's just a given that now they are automatically driven out of the model, which is fantastic. And you have to be careful as well to draw usage zones in 3 dimensions from where then a Kobe data drop can be generated. And also you can generate automatically zone schedules with different uses, so for the existing and proposed uses. We then actually from ArchiCAD, then we saved it as a SketchUp file, we put it back into SketchUp and overlaid it to the full point data, which was quite detailed, and this one.
I should add as well, we tried playing with the code with the point cloud. Is a good way. We played with it. We used a demo version of Revit as well to handle post cloud, which worked very well as well. So ideally we should have had maybe 2 months to try this out and to really assess all different software. Because I was really looking forward even to try Revit or Bentley systems, to see how they dealt with the point cloud. Unfortunately, we have our own projects running at the same time. We had to present something within 2 weeks, so we just had to make very quick decisions. And it is like Bernard talks about using I use Mac-based, but I'm definitely Windows-based. Never used a Mac before, but Windows 7 and 64-bit, there was actually no problem. Actually, some of the surfaces could come in easier for me, so I was taking some of those surfaces and passing them back. One of the issues with the terrains was actually locating it. And when you have overlays to align them with an origin, whereas the origin, and I suppose that's something that's addressed in the execution.
We also found out as well, when you draw a model, you do it once correctly, because once you don't do it correctly, the energy application, energy analysis application, for instance, Eco Designer that we use, we can use EcoText or any other one, will not recognize zone boundaries correctly. Here you can see a screenshot of the blue faces, which are unfaced areas, meaning like there's a problem. So it will not recognize that there's a wall behind it or beside it. So this is a resolved zone. That's just indicative. But one of the slabs was not drawn correctly. It was half a millimeter off, and that threw off the complete energy analysis software. And it showed us, like, look, model accuracy is very, very important at the very, very beginning. Once it's probably set up, then you can continue and builds on a sustainable ground. Then the model was shared via Tekla BIM site. Like, we exported IFC, so a lot of platforms could use it. And our intention initially was to use a good online collaboration platform.
Yeah, and Team Platform is I hadn't heard of it before. Actually, Coastway is something that they use all the time, so they were recommending it. They were sharing some of the model files through it. But I suppose the idea was that it would be great to be able to use ProjectWise, which is Bentley's collaboration product, and it's something that I'd only heard about, never used. I wouldn't be too familiar with many of these different tools. For the nature of our project, maybe it's too big or complicated, and I'm hoping that it's not, that we can still get to use it if we can upskill. But the exchange format definitely is taking an open BIM, I suppose, view on this, that IFC, we want it to be the neutral format, and if we talk about standards and to be the most universally capable, well, Building Smart have created this IFC, and I think every year it's just going to get better and better. It was one way for us to validate models as well, and the integrity of models by running them through Tekla BIM site and Celebri, and they're free viewers that anyone can look at. So.
And also, just to say, we use Dropbox. It's not the most technologically advanced way of sharing models, because we don't have actually full data on who's viewing the information what and when, and track the progress. But that's something to improve on.
Yeah, there actually is there's a Dropbox team here that's come out, but I don't know. And I believe Dropbox have now relocated their headquarters there, so maybe that's something that might happen in the future. Just going back to the brief, this is part of the mind map, if you might remember from last month. About this was the client team. We had a meeting with Fingal County Council in the County Hall in Swords, and then also with Councillor Tom Kelleher, who's the principal of the neighbouring school. The building, and I suppose from that meeting we had a great idea. When we started this project, we had great ideas about what we could possibly do with this site. And we've been involved in a project before where you pick a virtual part of the world and you just go and throw loads of technology at it, and you can do lots of great stuff and trial the different tools. It became pretty clear that this is a real site in a real part of scenic North County Dublin, and so that raised the issue of community concerns about what people are, I suppose, doing in their environment. So we definitely have to be respectful of that, and we have to be sensitive to their needs. And really it came down to what the community, if you like, were looking for this facility. It was a very simple brief that arose from that. Refurbishment of the building, the lighting was didn't really work so well. Thermal efficiency was terrible, and also it's with the local caretakers. So it's and we see this project as this is kind of like a little microcosm of every little small village and town in Ireland, where we have and they're just looking for a retail and meeting area. And if we were to go, Fingal County Council said they're very interested in the project, but definitely they don't see themselves as a client, but they're interested in the overall process, particularly the senior planners there.
I just saw a sign of 5 minutes, so I think we'll have to move on. I still have 40 slides to go through, so I don't know how many seconds I have per slide. So I'll just bring it through, and at the end I'll give you the mic again. Yeah. So brief, last time, look, we had this kind of a village design framework plan. We explained it all. You can look back at the video back then, but it gives a good kind of an indication on what to do at the main street, the new main street. So that was an indicative design. The uses is like different uses at the moment within the sports hall. You can see when you looked at the building use analysis that they have very innovative solutions how to store elements within the building on stage. We also have a subdivision of the sports hall when the drama society is using it. And so in the end, you know, on a building like that, it would be very easy to do the other way and say, look, let's use just a new site and build something completely different. But actually, this is an existing building. The funds are not there to actually to demolish it and create a new building. So let's use it and refurbish it. So let's come back. Let's actually talk about the scheme design, which is actually the main focus of this presentation. We went extremely high tech actually on this, and we went back to the to nature and to the beach, and we had our first workshop in I think Bridges Bay, and we collaborated over there. Philip Gagan and Ross indeed, and we had our own outline sketch on the signs. Not even pen and paper, even for that. So it was quite interesting, and you can mix it then with Photoshop slides and show the design intents of the first story and the proposal wrapping around then the existing building. But then we went back to the office, and we used Vasari and Ecotech's wind tunnel just to analyze the building. And you can see the wind blowing from the north side and also from the south side here. And you can see that the face of the building, the entrance is quite windswept. So, it gives us, food for thought, absolutely. So, but then you can get carried away, you can start designing interesting roofs and using different features. But at some point, look, we had to stop. We had to start actually designing the actual building. So, we went using Skype and Dropbox and different methods. We start, designing the building interactively online. And, like I had a little tablet in Photoshop. I took a screenshot of the screen, or sometimes I had the 3D window open. And I started designing it as we were talking. And, we just created new layers in Photoshop and just, put them on and off. And once outline design was established, then I could model it, slightly and come up with a slightly, improved design. We checked it then as well again, the proposal in Ecotech's wind tunnel. You can see when the wind is blowing from the north that the new little extension is deflecting the wind, creating a more kind of a protected urban space right in front of the entrance. And I think from the south is the same thing. So let's move on to the plan. One aspect of the brief was to create a retail element within the plan. And here you can see the location of the shop manager. That he will be central. He can control the entrance to the hall, also his own shop, the streetscape, and also what's happening within the building. And you can then elaborate a bit more offline, doing all these kind of nice little plans and develop it a bit more. I know we only have a few minutes left. Paul will then speak now about the collaboration. Yeah, you can control.
No, you just stick it on.
So
yeah, so back to him. We have Trevor Woods, Construct IT. So he's a copy of the model. He's a copy of the IFC model. He's looking at that. Board FM, I've actually just received stuff yesterday evening on some of the issues that Bobby has raised, and a lot of them not surprising. Also, and the Grimes has done a program for us to match the series, and Pierce McMahon is actually working on a technical model of the existing, which we want to take. We want to do some analysis on that ourselves. Johnson Reid and Colin Reid couldn't be. He's actually in court this week. He's as an expert witness. And but he'll be back on next week. So, and for me, it's I suppose it's difficult trying to work through, all these issues while you have your own stuff going on. But I think we're nearly getting to the stage where we'd like to do some structural analysis on the existing building. This is some of the I suppose quality assurance we've done. You take a bit of model, and that's a comparison of Tekla BIM site and Celebri. And there's actually some slightly difference in quantities, maybe less than 5 or 10%, which I thought was interesting. We'd like to take these files and run them through Navisworks as well and do a comparison. We just haven't got around to that yet. But I'd say just run on. And if so I've been liaising with on Skype with Bernard. It's pretty much there's been a tandem, I suppose, design development. Similarly with the existing building, what with possibilities. This is a shot of my internet usage at the office in the last 3 weeks, and basically I've gone basically 32 gig of data I've had to deal with. And one of the issues with Dropbox, I suppose, if you Dropbox on a load of different machines and you download a 2.5 gigabyte point cloud, it actually syncs to all machines. So you have 4 machines, it ends up being 10 gigs straight away. you know, and it just, so the information issues are, so I'd say we dealt with this the last time, but the point is we have a vision that we developed right at the start, and we now, with Barry McCauley, he's put KPIs to that vision. So we're trying to work with that, we're trying to measure what we're doing and the effectiveness of what we're doing.
And the last few slides is just to show that, look, you know, we showed you this building at the very beginning, the existing building. Now we have a model of a good model of the existing building. We know that, you know, what elements are going to be demolished, and we have a scheme design. So I think we are well set for the developed design to be presented at the next time. So I think, Paul, you want to say maybe something?
Yeah, we were over in just in February. We were at the launch of Building Smart UK, and I think people should take note of that. Building Smart, the management of Building Smart UK in Ireland, it's called, but I'm not sure about the full representation from Ireland. Certainly, I'm a member now. But I think there's the whole project. The whole project is tying back to this, like what we have, the vision of this BIM, how good or what's the real value of it, how can we cut through the hype, and I suppose we're trying to take some action. So first steps.
Thank you.